So, good morning, good night, good evening, depending on where you are in this world, and welcome to another album review of The Shield Dude on a Couch. I'm your host, Hector, and today we're talking about an album that came out on November 14th, and it's an artist that I discovered recently. The artist is called Violent Vira, and this is her full length debut record called Lover of a Ghost. So this album is a concept record and it follows a story. So the concept of an album is about this woman whose boyfriend is murdered, and after he's murdered, she is visited by her ghost, and they keep on the relationship. But it's a look of how she slowly descends into madness, and it explores the themes of grief, obsession, religion, and basically of like what you feel when a loved one is lost, especially in this case in a brutal murder. So it's a pretty heavy subject matter record. Musically, uh, the singer, which name is I think is Vira, it sounds like sometimes she sounds when she has clean vocals, she sounds like Haley from Paramore, but also other times it reminded me more of Lacey Stern from Flyleaf, and when she does more of the heavy stuff as well. Um, and I like that because, especially in the music, it reminded me of like the first Flyleaf record in a way. Only that there's cursing on this record and not on Flyleaf's record. So this concept of the story, it all happens in a small town that apparently is very religious. So she's haunted by the ghost.
Do you believe in ghosts? I don't know.
And also the people in her town don't get a lot of things. So yeah, deals with all that undertones on the record. The record's like 14 tracks, like I think it's like 44 minutes in length, and you can hear it from the first. You got like the intro track, and the intro track, you hear like what happens, the police report, and you hear like who are you, and like are you a ghost. So it starts when the boyfriend is murdered and he goes to visit her, and then it goes into the second track, which is missing posters, which is all about like people are lost or dead. So this opens the after the intro track, and you get remind. I got reminded of the band Flyleaf again. I know I mentioned them, uh, and she is on this song coming to terms with the loss of her lover. So it's a pretty emotional track, and it can get heavy. Some good guitar work on this, and I like the vocals. I like that she's very emotional and vulnerable on tracks like this. And you need to be vulnerable to make this concept record work. So then you have a song called "Burn Me," another song that I like, "Burn Me a Bible," and this one has great vocals. On this one, she does sing like pretty clean vocals, and it reminded me of Haley from Paramore. And it's all about coping with religious. She's like burn me next to a Bible. So lyrically, it's quite strong, but musically, I feel it's a little bit more accessible at times. So it's a great track. But my favorite track from the record is called "Eat," and this song I think can be interpreted in different ways because sometimes when people lose people, the first thing that people tell you is to eat. Like, oh, you haven't eaten, please eat. And I think she's using that as a like like an analogy of people saying like, oh, if you eat, you'll feel better. And she's like, no. And there's parts of this song that she screams out, and she's angry, and she's like, all you want me to do like eat. And at first I thought it was about body image, but with the concept of the story, I think it's leaning more into what I said before. And the bass on that one is pretty cool as well. Another track that I think is really good and it's one of the singles is the track "Common Decency." It has a great guitar tone to it, and it's also another emotional song. The singer is very vulnerable and honest. Like there's a part that she's like, "Say you love me, say you don't leave me." So I don't know why I got reminded of the movie Ghost.
I love you, Molly. I've always loved you.
Yes, and that movie it's the same plot. You know, the character gets murdered. He stays on Earth. He goes and visits his ex-lover. So there's some similarities to this concept of this album and that movie, and that came when I was like listening to the album. But yeah, like when she cries out, "Say you love me," like please say you love me, like you feel the pain in her voice, and it's a very, I feel like a very honest track. So then you have more harder tracks like a song like Saccharine, uh, and that follows like an interlude that the album has, and this is one of the most heaviest song on the record. And when she shouts Saccharine, like you feel it. She sings it almost like her voice is breaking, and it's one of the more heavier musical songs on this record. The album keeps getting more weirder in how they explore this concept, because there's a song like more near the end called Sex Narcissist, and this one is very explicit in lyrics, and it's all about like she's I, I don't know, she's like a narcissist, and she's like telling to the ghost like you're gonna hate me, you wanna fuck me. So it's a pretty like it's one of the most heaviest track on the record, both in the music and the lyric and the subject matter of this. And I think it's she's like feeling lonely and just wanting to be held, but this ghost that we don't know if it's a real ghost, or if she's just going mad and imagining that her boyfriend is there, can't make love to her, or if he can, it's a different type of love. So it's a very interesting track. Toward the end of the track, you have again you get emotional tracks like You Promised, and You Promised basically she's remembering like where she met her lover, and she's like, you promised you would marry me, but now you can't do it. And it's a sad track, and it goes into the last track on the album, which is called Chasing Ghost. And that one, it's a slower track, and I think on that one there's almost like she's realizing that this person that she's been grieving for is gone, and she's been chasing a ghost that is not there. So I think this song at the end is more about like letting go of that ghost. So yes, it's a pretty cool album. I'm glad I gave it a chance. So if you listen to Violet Mara, tell me what you think of this album, Lover of a Ghost. If you haven't, like, if you like what we've been discussing, you should give this album a chance. This is a newer artist, and I quite enjoyed it. I think the vocals really make the album. The music is good, but I think the vocals, if they weren't like vulnerable or you couldn't express emotions, the concept of this record would not work. But it does work. So I want to know from you, Couchers. Comment, tell me what are your favorite tracks from Violet Mara, Lover of a Ghost. If you haven't heard it, listen to it and tell me what you think. Comment down below. Give me a like, subscribe if you haven't, and share this content with more people that you think you will like this. So until next time, Couchers, this is Hector, the Shield Dude on the couch, and I'll see you all right here on the couch. Thank you and goodbye.